Our beloved 8% HardAF Seltzer is now live in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Ohio, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Illinois. Go to HardAFSeltzer.com today. Click on the store locator and enter your city or zip to find the closest location nearest you.
We are gold for energy. Send it.
Incoming!
Put the money in the bag, man.
As I said, your paycheck is your thank you.
What's going on back there? This is awesome! Welcome to Earth! No. Who's flying the plane? Get cockpit. Go. God.
Black Rifle Energy, dropping near you.
Welcome to Drinkin Bros, presented by OmahaSteaks.com. Yeah, welcome to Drinkin Bros, kids. Tuesday afternoon show today coming at you. Live and on time, pretty much for the most part today. Let's go, boys. And look, we try to spotlight stories that you guys send us, and from time to time, we do try to do some good in this world. D'Anthony, this was one of those stories that you guys have sent in, probably 7 or 8 different listeners, and they wanted to specifically talk about the water contamination at Camp Lejeune. Who do we have here on the show today?
Michael, I don't even know how you say your name. Latourette, is that right?
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah, there we go, dude.
Yeah,
Usually it's me who's fucking up the name, so yeah, I thought I'd throw it to you today.
This one's there's like lawsuits going on with this one. There's still pending water contamination lawsuit going on at Fort Bragg right now. I mean, it's pretty much anywhere soldiers and Marines are housed. I think the Navy and the Air Force are pretty much immune to this stuff, but Army and Marines get just like the barracks that we're in from time to times. Like, I don't know if you remember, there was one dude from, I think it was 4th Brigade, 82nd, before they got split back into the other 3 brigades, or after, rather, they got split out, where some dad came, it was like in 2004 or 5 maybe, and the bathroom areas were fucked up. Some of the hallways were flooded from time to time, and there's like black mold all over the place. I don't know if you remember those videos or not. It was a big deal at the time. But this shit's been going on for years.
Yeah,
and all of these for the entire GWAT, and even before that, back in the 80s too.
We've had a lot of veterans come in and listen to the show because we leave the doors open for listeners to come in and watch the shows on a daily basis and complain about this over the years. And they said, dude, it's kind of like prison conditions where they just don't give a shit. They're not going to change it. And they don't really fucking care because usually you're shipped off to somewhere else and then it's somebody else's problem. Michael, let's start with you. Did something happen to you personally that you said, I've had enough and this is it and I'm going to go all in and try to fix this problem?
Well, I got diagnosed with cancer 10 years ago. And I found out that one of the contributing factors could be the contaminated water at Camp Lejeune from when I was in the Marine Corps. And so I've been dealing with that cancer for 10 years.
Okay. But between 1952 and 1970 or 1987, nearly 1 million Marines, sailors, and civilian employees and military family members have unknowingly drank or cooked with and bathed in contaminated water while living or working at Camp Lejeune. This water contamination is considered one of the worst in U.S. history. However, the mainstream media is not covering this story. Is it because of these lawsuits, Michael?
I don't know why they're not covering it. It could be because of the lawsuits, could be because it's the Department of the Navy, and they don't want to just get involved in it.
It's
but it's a real problem for a lot of Marines and even Army personnel somewhere else. It's just normally with the cancer that I have, they actually don't find it until you're in your 70s and 80s. Luckily, I found mine out when I was 55, so I was quite young. But I know people that are younger than me. And then after doing some research, I hooked up with the law firm with Mr. Keller there, and we've been going with it for a few years now. But I was at Camp Lejeune from 1979 to 1983, and that was the time. One of the cutoff times was 1983.
Yeah.
So I spent 4 years there.
Yeah, and when you get cancer, you go in, you meet with the doctors. This obviously happened to my father. Sometimes they can pinpoint exactly what it was and take care of it. In something like this, though, where it's water and it's an outside source, how do the doctors make that determination? And then the next question is, even when you call the insurance companies and try to explain what you think it is or what the doctors think it is, they're going to fight you on it every single step of the way because they don't want to pay for it.
Correct. I don't know how they pinpoint that it was, from the water at Camp Lejeune, other than the fact that I was there for 4 years. And the cancer that I have is called multiple myeloma, which is a blood cancer, and it deteriorates your bones. So when they found that out 10 years ago, nobody knew about the lawsuit, at that time. But it just throughout the years when it came up, and then my wife said, you know what? You have nothing to lose. You have the factors that you were there. You have this cancer. This is one of the cancers that has been contributed to the contaminated water. You might as well join the class action suit and see what happens. You might be helping someone else because they're out there and they don't know, that they could potentially have a case. You don't know, and you won't know that until it actually gets settled.
Well, speaking of that, let's go back 10 years because I'm curious, what were your, how did you find out about this? What were your symptoms? Just so if somebody's in the audience or their parent or something is going through this stuff, how are they going to spot it?
Well, what happened was I started having a lot of pain in my bones. So I started seeing a chiropractor, and they did some adjustments. They did some treatments for me, and the doctor was saying, well, this isn't happening. It's not helping you. So he suggested that my primary care doctor do a body scan. So when they did the body scan, they found a whole bunch of lesions on my bones. So that led them to do some testing for cancer because of the lesions on my bones. And then they discovered that I have multiple myeloma. In 2000, I was diagnosed in 2015. 2016, I did a stem cell transplant, and everything was going well. I was doing my chemo treatments weekly and daily. And then it just progressed from there. Then I started having issues. A couple of years ago, I had steel rods put into each of my femurs because the bones were fracturing. And before they actually break, they wanted to try and help keep that from happening. So they inserted steel rods into my femurs. And that was going well. But then they had to change my chemo treatment because that wasn't working any longer. Some of the symptoms that I have is I get shortness of breath. I can't do things like I used to do as quickly as possible, as quickly as I used to, so I have to go slower. My company that I work for has been very good. I used to be a service manager for a multifamily housing company. And now I do, what I do is I'm a regional maintenance manager. So I drive to the different properties that we manage in New Jersey and make sure that the maintenance teams are trained well. They're doing their jobs. They're following our procedures like we do. So I don't have a very strenuous job. And one of the reasons that they've done that is because they know that I can't do the day-to-day hard work of a maintenance technician or a service manager. So my company's been very understanding about my limitations. Sometimes I have a hard time dealing with my limitations. I used to do construction. I can't do that anymore. So like the projects that are around the house that I can't do, now we have to pay somebody to do it. And I feel bad about that, but I understand it. I just can't do it any longer. My life has become where I go to work every day. I get my treatments once a week, and I take a chemo pill every day for 21 days, and then I'm off the pills for 7 days. But that's pretty much what it is. And the hardest part, I think, that dealing with it is the medical bills. I mean, my insurance company is good. They pay a lot of money for it, but there's still, other bills you have to pay. You have, your co-pays for your doctors, your co-pays for your medicines. One pill that I take for 21 days, each pill costs $12,000, which I think is ridiculous.
Whoa. What's the name of that pill?
Yeah,
and what's the
Revlimid?
company that makes it? Sorry, repeat that one more time.
I take a pill called Revlimid, and the pill costs $12,000 each, and I take 21 pills during a 28-day cycle.
Holy shit! And does insurance cover that?
Yes, unfortunately, the insurance. The insurance covers like 85% of it, and then there's copay assistance from the manufacturer of the drug, which I don't understand. Why can't they just give it to the people if they're going to wind up giving it away anyway?
Bristol Myers Squibb would be the.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That makes absolutely zero sense. I mean, is there gold? Is there chunks of gold inserted into the pills? What is happening there?
Jesus Christ.
I don't know, but I look at it this way. It keeps me alive. So as long as I can get it, then I'm doing okay. I know a lot of people that have had this disease that have passed away from it already. And, I'm still here, after 10 years. So like when I go to my oncologist, I see people in there every day that are, I say, worse off than I am, but it's hard sometimes, and it's really hard on my wife, because she has to take care of me, and me as, a man and a Marine, I'm not used to someone taking care of me. But, like last year, when I was having the steel rods put in my legs, I couldn't drive. I could barely walk. I had to use a walker, and then I progressed to a cane. But luckily now I don't need those items any longer. I'm doing okay with that part. But for that whole time, which was about 9 months, my wife had to basically babysit me and take me everywhere I needed to go. So she has to take time off from her work, and I have to take time off from my work. So it gets to be hard.
Sure.
And people that don't have a good insurance company, I don't know how they could afford to do any of this treatment.
Yeah, we say it all the time on this show. If you do not have good insurance and something bad like this happens to you, you're right, because then you've got a pre-existing condition, and then good luck going to another insurance company because they don't want to fund this and pay for these bills.
Well, the insurance part of it is a scam as well. Right?
Yeah.
So that pill that costs $12,000, that's the insurance price. Mm-hmm. That's the negotiated insurance price. If you paid for it out of pocket, it would be probably a tenth of that cost, something like that.
Maybe cheaper,
if not lower.
Yeah.
But then you've got to pay for it all yourself, which is fucked, right? I'm curious, Michael, have you gone back through the VA on all this stuff regarding disability? Because this is clearly service connected. If the doctor's telling you it came from the contaminated water, that's an open and closed case with regard to service connection.
Well, I never really looked into the VA aspect of it, only because at first I didn't think it was anything to do with, at the time I didn't know about the contaminated water and things like that. So I don't know if it would be beneficial to go through the VA or just continue with where I'm at. Now, the issue is, you figure I'm 65 now, I'll be 66 this year. In a couple of years, I'm going to look into retirement. But, it's like, how do I go on, Medicare, Medicaid? Are they going to cover this? Because right now there's no cure for this. So this is, it's for life, and it's, so I don't know what's going to happen after that. If Medicare and Medicaid doesn't cover it, I don't know what I'm going to do. Might have to just, stop the medications and deal with it as it comes up.
Well, hopefully they do. And, for the audio listeners, the reason why you hear the shortness of breath and all the other stuff is obviously because of what he's going through here. Now, did you hire Mr. Keller, not only for the class action lawsuit, but in case this medication does not come through on Medicare and Medicaid, and then maybe he can help fight for that? Because if you're looking at $12,000 a month, that is $144,000 a year just in medication. Forget about the rest of your living expenses for you and your wife and everything else in your life. That is an unbelievable amount of money that I don't know a human who could afford that at that age, really, unless you were rich or something.
Well, it's actually more than $144,000 a year, because the pills are $12,000 each, and I take 21 of them per month.
I'm sorry. So it's 12,000 times 21 a month?
Yes.
Can somebody smarter than me do that math here? I mean, that is fucking insane.
How many a month?
21 times
250. I'm sorry. That is $252,000
a month times the rest of the year. You're looking at $3 million just in pills that you need to stay alive.
That's just the pill. Now I take chemo infusions every Monday, which I don't know what they cost. I really haven't looked into seeing the bills on those.
It ain't cheap. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, either way, and regardless of your age, I know that your generation didn't get good counseling on any of this shit, but you should definitely be at the VA. Whether you get your medical treatment from the VA or not, you've got to go through the disability process, because they owe you a shitload of money. Like, you should be having cancer like that. You should be service connected, rated at 100%. You should be getting like $2,900 a month from the government right now.
Yeah, is that happening currently?
Not for me. No, I haven't looked into that part.
You should definitely do that. As a matter of fact,
when I was out of work for last year, I went through my company's disability and then the state disability.
Yeah, you should. I'll get you guys hooked up with some people that I know in DC that can handle that part of the situation. But yeah, you should not only should you be getting paid for that. I think if it's if I'm not mistaken, the service connection part, when you got diagnosed 10 years ago, they need to back pay you that entire decade for this.
Dan, since you were in the service, let me ask you this: is it like normal people where you're still trying to fight them to get money, and then once it's settled, then all right, great, we agree on a certain amounts? Because I think your disability was what, 71% or something in that neighborhood?
Yeah, or something. I don't fucking know, but yeah, it's. I mean, Doug Collins is the VA secretary right now. He's a friend. They've knocked down. I think they've they've knocked down the wait list by like 40% just in the past couple of months. So they're plowing through it pretty good. And no, this administration is going to be fine. We'll see what happens next, but I would get this taken care of immediately. I can hook you up with some people that are basically ombudsmen for VA disability, and they'll walk you through the process and everything. But this is, you should get backdated to the point where you got a diagnosis for that, which means whatever, 10 years ago.
No, 1982. I think you said he left in 82.
No, I mean, it would have been when you got diagnosed with the cancer. That's the first verifiable event for that.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what the rating would be for it, but you're definitely entitled to quite a bit of help from the Department of Defense or Department of the VA.
And then how did you contact Mr. Keller? Because your lawyer is here with you today, and we'll chat with him now. How did you get in contact with him? And you mentioned class action lawsuits at the top of the episode, which, again, I jokingly off camera before we started, I say, I know way too much about lawsuits here. Typically, that involves a bunch of people getting together all at once to file this class action lawsuit. Mr. Keller, when did you hear about this case? When did you take it on? And how many people are involved in this class action lawsuit currently?
Yeah, sure. So first, thanks for having me on. And Michael, thanks for the privilege of letting us represent you. Let me give you a quick history of Camp Lejeune. You covered the sort of 35-year period where the government poisoned the water through 1986. There was tons of bad stuff in that water that people like Michael were bathing in, drinking every day, brushing their teeth, all of that stuff. Benzene, TCE, PCE, stuff that causes blood cancers like the ones Michael described, Parkinson's disease, kidney cancer.
Chloride, benzene, all this stuff, yeah.
That nasty stuff. So in the wake of them discovering this water contamination, what did the government do? Of course, they covered it up and said nothing for many years. So as veterans started to get diagnosed, as civilians started to get diagnosed with these cancers, at first there was no opportunity for the VA to cover it. There was no connection to the water at Camp Lejeune. The government subsequently did testing through the ATSDR. That's a division of the CDC. So this is government-sponsored research that basically said, yep, the water was poisoned with all of these chemicals and it's causing elevated disease rates in all of these people like Michael. And so the initial step that was taken maybe 15 years ago was to finally say, yes, we will allow VA benefits to be provided. We'll cover the healthcare and provide disability. But then some veterans decided to sue the government and say, we don't just want those benefits. $2,800 a month is not enough to compensate us for cancer. We want the costs that you've imposed on our lives. We wore the uniform of the United States. We served. We did our jobs. You poisoned us. We should get more than that. And there's a thing called sovereign immunity that I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with. You can't sue the government of the United States without permission. So after a lot of veterans galvanized and lobbied their congressman, wrote to their senator, spoke to the president, finally, Congress repealed sovereign immunity and created the Camp Lejeune Justice Act during the Biden administration. In our highly charged partisan environment, it's one of the few pieces of legislation that garnered overwhelming bipartisan support. President Biden signed it after 87 senators voted in favor, including now Vice President Vance, who was in the Senate at the time. People like Ted Cruz voted for it. You had almost all of the Democrats voting for it. So this was not a Republican or a Democrat issue. This was an issue about taking care of people after the government finally fessed up that they did something wrong. I regret to tell you, though, that 3 years in, I'm still fighting real hard for people like Michael, but the government's position, particularly under the Biden DOJ, has been, yeah, we don't have to actually pay any compensation. Congress just repealed sovereign immunity, but you still have to prove that all of this harm happened because of us. And even though our own government studies are the ones that you're using to prove that the water had these carcinogens in them, we're not paying anything until a court forces us to. And so my hope is that Michael's story and similar stories are going to get out there into the media so that the Trump administration, which I think is a very different administration, I think they take a very different posture to people who wore the uniform. I think they care about the veteran community a lot more. My hope is that the civilian leadership in the Trump DOJ, all the way up to President Trump himself, the Secretary of War, people like Doug Collins, they're going to pay heed to this, and they're going to start giving compensation that people like Michael deserve. I hate to say this. Michael obviously is suffering a lot, and you're hearing his story. His is by no means the worst story of the clients that I represent. There are people in really bad shape. We lose a client almost every other day who succumbs to their injuries, and instead of them being the ones pursuing their lawsuit, we have to substitute in their estate and pursue it on behalf of their next of kin. So this is not a community that can afford years more of government delay. Congress did something good for a change to take care of these people, and I'm fighting real hard with a great group of lawyers to make sure that that promise is fulfilled.
Yeah, we had a lot of experience in this as well. I don't know if you recall, I'm sure you do. But there was a gentleman named Richard Stayskull. He was a former Marine and then Special Forces operator who got shot, left a bullet inside him, and because of the Ferries Doctrine, which was, by the way, written to protect the government from litigation from test pilots and shit, not from dudes that are just serving in war. They told him he couldn't file a claim. We hammered that in 2019. As a matter of fact, we put all the relevant people's names and numbers on our show back then and had every one of our listeners call and harass the fuck out of these people until they finally capitulated and added it to the 2020 National Defense Authorization Act. I think it's, that's been how many years now? 6 years. But still, no one has filed a successful claim against the government yet through the DOD. Mm-hmm. It's still, even though it's legal to do it now, still no one has actually won a case against them, and that's the next hurdle, and it sounds like you guys are going through that right now.
All right, even though we are doing a serious show today, we do have sponsors that allow us to do these shows, so please go out and support them. First and foremost, our title sponsor of the show, OmahaSteaks.com. Right now, during the Red Hot Sale event, you can get 50% off site-wide at OmahaSteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $35 off with the promo code Drinkin Bros at checkout. From handcrafted steaks to delicious fall favorites, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. Enjoy USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort meals, plus tailgating favorites like chicken wings, smash burgers, and big deli-style franks. We just booked our travel for Penn State for the whiteout game in 10 days. It's 10 days from now. We'll be up there with Ron Zimmich, and he's cooking out some Omaha for us, and we'll have the booze of all the HardAF Seltzers you want. If you want to come and join us, that is an all-day tailgate because it's a night game. So we will be there having some Omaha Steaks, having some HardAF Seltzer, and some laughs. Because the beauty is, with Omaha Steaks, it's not just steaks. I know it's called OmahaSteaks.com. Smash burgers, incredible. The chicken, absolutely incredible. The ballpark franks are actually real ballpark franks. They are bigger than the hot dog bun. If you do not believe me, when you go and make an order, because you can kind of mix and match and do whatever you want, as far as meats are concerned, or sides, I get sides too. I got wine. I finally had the wine. Delicious, man. Those guys are killing it across the board. You're going to notice when you put the actual hot dog in the bun from the ones that you buy from the store, it's going to be way bigger. And my kids are like, I don't understand it. I'm like, this is what happens, kids, when you don't have processed meats, all right? This is fresh and amazing and delightful across the board. They're eating hot dogs and burgers all the time now, my younger boys. And I love it because that's what I have every night, and it makes it a lot easier for my wife. I also love the convenience of when they just drop it off at your doorstep. It's in a huge white styrofoam cooler. It's all iced down. That thing will last for like 48 hours, dude. Then you pop it in the freezer, and those smash burgers are, freezer to bun in probably 6 minutes tops over there. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917, a family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. And like I said, they carry mouth-watering burgers, chicken, pork, seafood, and little delectable desserts. I've not had the seafood yet. That's the only thing that I have not tried. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during the Red Hot Sale events. And for an extra $35 off, use the promo code DrinkinBros at checkout. That is 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with the promo code DrinkinBros at checkout. See their delicious site for details. Next up, we got firstform.com/drinkinbros. Damn it, D'Anthony, I'm not taking my microfactors today. Are they back there? Are they hidden here? I know you put some on the Citizen set the other day.
They're all over the place.
I know, dude. I got to go find them. I'm out of mine. I just went out of them.
There's packs over there, and there's packs up
Boom.
at the
All
front
right.
door.
Thank God, dude. If I don't take the vitamins that I need every day on a daily basis, I might die at this point. I'm not working out the way I need to because I'm trying to save energy at night to get through this heat, man. Is this ever going to end here? Holy shit. It was 101 at 6 o'clock at night last night at practice. Fuck me. It's hot. But having these level 1 bars all throughout the day at least gets me prepared for it, man. The protein bars are the best in the business. 20 grams of protein in every single bar. These are the best flavors on the planet. Strawberry smash cake. PB&J is what the kids love. They also have the birthday cake ones. They asked me to come to the office on Sunday. This is a true story. Went to Dick's Sporting Goods to buy some football equipment. And I said, hey, Dad, can we stop by the office and grab some of the bars? I was like, yeah. They're 11 and 7, for Christ's sakes. That's how good these bars are. And if you're trying to wean your kids off of candy bars and everything else, First Form is a great place to do it. They're all new bar that they got out for the fall is the pumpkin spice bar. Some of our listeners have already had that. And then the apple pie is also new. D'Anthony and the powders. The powders, I heard they just came out with cookies and cream, right?
Yeah. And they have the seasonal pumpkin spices.
Oh,
here.
is that a powder too?
Yeah, if
Hell
you're
yeah.
if you're a fucking white woman that listens to our show,
Chances are you are.
or a dude who likes
White women.
you can lure them in.
It's a great gift too.
Yeah, I think just like leave a trail of pumpkin spice protein powder from the gym to your car, and you can get dates.
I think so too.
Yeah.
For the fall. And those microfactors give you all the vitamins you need that I was talking about earlier. It's 30 individual bags in a box. Beautiful. Beautiful little box. Beautiful little box like Trump. You just put it out either next to your computer, on your kitchen, wherever, your pantry and everything else. And it's got a little thing that just pops out. They're already prepackaged for you. Take the guesswork out of vitamins. It's got the big 6 in them, antioxidants, CoQ10s, EFAs, fruits and veggies, and the probiotics. And that's what you need to get you going throughout the day. Please head on over to firstform.com. And then it's First Form spelled with a 1. That is 1stphorm.com today. It's not just the protein and the microfactors we talked about. Every single product, supplement-wise, across the board, is the very best in the business. Andy Frisella has really figured it out over there, man. And there's a reason why this company is growing every single year. So support us by supporting them because they help keep us on the air. As always, it is free shipping on orders over $100 over at First Form. Last but not least is AmericanFinancing.net/drinkinbros. All right, guys, if you're a homeowner out there, it's for you. If you're trying to lower some of your interest costs from high credit card interest, this is the way to do it. Why? Credit card interest, 20 to 30%. Your house is around 6.5% to 7%. Until Jerome Powell lowers these fucking rates, which I guess is supposed to happen this week, allegedly. I don't know.
Maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday.
God damn it. I hope so. American Financing, in the meantime, can help you out, dude, because it's still going to take a while to lower the interest rate to where we need it to be here. And it's taking a little bit of equity out of your house at a smaller interest rate, paying off the credit cards, and then paying that off. On average, their customers are saving about $800 a month, and it's purely just interest, you guys. That's simple math here. American Financing and licensed in all 50 states. Customers, on average, save about $800 a month when they call and let American Financing help them. They don't charge any upfront or hidden fees to see how much you can save, and you may be able to close in as fast as 10 days. You also may be able to delay up to 2 mortgage payments, creating more savings up front. They've helped hundreds of thousands of homeowners create meaningful savings, and it's reflected in the reviews on Google. Call today at 866-887-2275. That is 866-887-2275 or AmericanFinancing.net/DrinkinBros. Better Business Bureau disclaimer is NMLS 182334. And you can check them out at nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Last but not least, HardAFSeltzer.com. Just going to ask you for one quick thing here. We're in Circle K's. We're doing a test run in Alabama right now and the Panhandle in Florida. So specifically in Tuscaloosa, the University of Alabama, and Auburn University as well. Circle K's. Just go to the Circle K's and buy them out for the next 6 weeks. It ends at the end of October. If those numbers are great, they will put us in 3,000 stores across the entire Southeast. It is a big deal. Circle K is the largest convenience store chain in the nation. If we get those guys, we will win. Why am I telling you to do this? 4,000 of you guys, 4,000 listeners have invested in the company itself. We win, you win. It's as simple as that. And this is a surefire way to help that happen. It's like Shark Tank. You ever see on Shark Tank where it's like, do you have a huge PO order? Well, I'll give you, X amount of dollars to fill it. That's exactly what we need it for here. So if you're in those areas, go out and buy HardAF Seltzer. And then the Tall Boys are coming this week to Texas. They're already in Michigan and all the USA to goes. Ryan Mills should be stopping by, I want to say Thursday or Friday, and I'll have him explain where those are going to initially, but they've shipped, then they have landed in the state of Texas, and we'll give you all those details on Thursday. In the meantime, go to hardafseltzer.com today, click on the store locator, enter your city or zip, and find the closest location nearest you.
Exactly right. There have been 400,000 veterans and their family members who have filed claims with the Department of Navy. They have paid something like 500 of them voluntarily.
Just the Department of the Navy? Just the Navy?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Just the Navy. At the pace they're going, the rise and the fall of the Roman Empire won't be long enough for them to process all of these people. And so, something's going to have to give to speed this up. We're litigating in court on behalf of people like Michael. And the government just filed last week a whole bunch of briefs saying, yeah, we didn't do it. We're not responsible. Not a single one of these people is entitled to one penny. That's a pretty ridiculous position given what Congress did during the Biden administration.
Well, Mr. Keller, having gone through a number of lawsuits for and against and all that other stuff here, I would imagine their position is, how do we not pay these guys? How do we get out of this? In this case in particular, and I'm going through it right now off my computer here, one of the things that they're blaming is that some of this contamination was an off-base dry cleaning. That's a nearby dry cleaner illegally dumped dry cleaning solvents into storm drains and buried it on its property and everything else. I would imagine the government is going to say, well, that's not our fucking problem. Why don't you sue the dry cleaner on that one? Is that what you were going through on a daily basis?
But believe it or not, that is not the government's position. They're taking full responsibility for whatever was in the water. Their position, which I think is a lot more indefensible right now, is you can't prove that contaminated water that had all of this terrible crap in it that everybody acknowledges causes cancer, like Michael's, that the government's own research acknowledges caused higher rates of these conditions. They're saying you can't prove that it's linked to Michael's condition and people like Michael's conditions. I think that is almost laughable in light of what Congress did, but that's what the government's saying.
That is just fucking insane. My God. So, what do you do? Because Dan and I, like Dan was saying about Richard Stayscott, these cases go on for years and years and years and years. Most of the people you represent, unfortunately, will die before they ever see a cent or even hear a verdict in this case. How does a law firm like you take this on? And I'd imagine it's pro bono or something at this point, knowing that most of your clients won't be alive to hear the verdict of this case or see 1 cent of this.
Yeah, so that's the situation right now, but I'm more optimistic that we can change the trajectory. I really am. We're going to win these lawsuits eventually if we have to go the distance. To be very clear, I believe extremely strongly in the science here. It's the government's own science. Stories like Michael's, I think, are very compelling. Everybody has sympathy for someone like Michael. This is a Marine. He served his country with honor. He deserves to be treated with dignity. Congress wanted him to get compensated. I don't think we're going to have a tough time persuading these judges that the merits are on our side. The problem, as you said, is time. We don't have the time to wait to do this 400,000 times with 400,000 different veterans. So what we need to do is have a civilian leadership at the Department of Justice going all the way up to the President of the United States that actually cares about this community. President Trump could settle this case in a week if he put his mind to it. And I know that he cares about the people who wore the uniform. So the real thing to do is have voices like yours get the word out, continue to galvanize this community, and essentially say the Biden DOJ botched this. They took way too long and they were way too recalcitrant in their litigation positions. But you, the Trump DOJ, you have a golden opportunity to take care of a community that on a bipartisan basis, everybody agrees deserves to be taken care of. And that, I think, is something that we can effectuate in the short term. So I'm hopeful that people like Michael aren't going to be leaving money that is eventually given to his estate, to his kids, to his family members. I'm hopeful that he's going to see justice in his lifetime.
Yeah, and I think a guy like Trump, if he hears about it, he'll do something about it. But this story is not gaining any traction, which is obviously why you're here today. And full disclosure, Dan was the one that said, hey, we've got to do this show today. And because I had never heard of it. I'm a civilian and I read the media that's most of it that I'm presented with, but a lot of these cases are buried and you don't hear much about it. And then once you start really digging into it, this seems extremely simple. To your point,
not just simple, but common. There's thousands and thousands just in the Department of the Navy. Not some more extreme, maybe some less extreme, maybe, but thousands and thousands of cases, tens of thousands of cases.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
And in this, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because again, just looking at the suits and all that other stuff. There was on-base and industrial activities, leaking underground storage tanks, chemical spills at industrial sites, and improper disposal of oil and industrial wastewater contributed to the contamination. This was on-base. That should be an open and shut case just right there. So what's the problem?
Yeah, they're saying things like there wasn't enough exposure, you didn't live in the right barrack. They are making every excuse that they can possibly make, litigating this case, as if it's an existential threat, when in reality, Congress wanted these people to be taken care of. And, not to get too political, but we've given a lot of foreign aid to Ukraine, something like $200 billion. For a fraction of that, you could take care of this entire community. I'm not saying whether we should or shouldn't give foreign aid. That's above my pay grade, but I am 100% positive we should be taking care of our own and the people who, put the uniform on to protect our freedoms.
Well, luckily, it's not above our pay grade. No, we shouldn't be giving money to those fucking countries. It should stay here. So this is you're at my pay grade now, and yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're much higher than me, friends. I'm not, so I don't really have anything to lose. But this seems like a no-brainer across the board. I mean, I'm going down through this case. Buried radioactive materials. In some instances, buried materials became that source of contamination on the bases. Like, there's just so many things here that this seems like a slam dunk. I just think maybe this is lack of exposure. Dan, what do you think? I mean, you've obviously heard these stories a million times, but it's so hard to get everybody together and find a pro bono lawyer and all that other shit to file these.
I think when you, one of the things is it's difficult, the transition between administrations, like all the personnel, all the staff, the top level staff that can actually get things done, all changes every 4 years, basically, sometimes every 8. You come into this situation, like Doug Collins is a good dude. He was a career chaplain in the military, right? Okay. I think in the Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. He was a chaplain his whole career. Very good dude. And it seems like every time he walks into a room and flips a switch and turns the light on, there's some new fucking bullshit that the last administration did nothing to solve, like nothing. So, I mean, that's a big part of it. It's a big part of it that, one, as he says, as Ashley says, there's so many cases that, what is the VA, like the government's not going to come out and talk about how bad it's been at something.
No.
Right?
No.
That's usually not the case. So getting attention on this stuff, this is the only way to do it. You have to come on shows like this. You have to find an attorney who's a good like Natalie Quam, for example, who represented Richard Stayskull.
She's excellent.
People like that. She did that all for free, by the way. People like that who will push your case forward, and then people in the media who are friendly, who actually do what not that we're not journalists at all. We're knuckleheads, but people who are actual journalists in the media, whose job it is to say, hey, this powerful organization is fucking over this not powerful individual, and we have to get justice for them. That's what it requires. Why it happens? Because, it's the government is big. There's 350 million people in this country. Yep. You know what I mean? And trying to adjudicate cases for each one of them all the time is a problem.
It is.
Sometimes it's just a matter of the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? That's really what it is. This is why when you see injustice, you need to make noise around it.
Yeah, and then Mr. Keller, going to the White House up there, Dan and I have several times. When you go there for things and you're fighting for nonpartisan bills, and in my opinion, this is a nonpartisan bill. This is not a Republican-Democrat issue whatsoever. There is a list of people that are there to meet the president, to ask them for money or help regarding something around the United States, and it is endless. I've seen their schedules. I've asked their aides for them, and I'm like, is everybody here asking for help or reporting a problem and trying to get help? Because in a country of 330 million people that we know, that's a lot of people, and there is a lot of problems in the country itself. And yes, a lot of these things will fall through the cracks. One of the things that should not, though, is our military. And the VA in particular, this has been a very bad issue over the years, and having done this show for 10 years with all of my military friends, God, that is the number one thing that we hear over and over and over again is how shitty the VA is. Now, yes, to your points, I think Trump hired the right guy. He is trying to figure this out, and he is trying to solve these cases here. How far are you along right now in the legal process with this?
I'd say we're in the third or the fourth inning. There's a lot of ball left to play if we go the distance. So again, my hope is the government does not take a drag it out forever approach, but finally comes to the table and says we're willing to do something constructive that takes care of people who deserve to be taken care of while still obviously protecting the taxpayer. We're not looking to give handouts to people. We're looking to give fair compensation for injuries that the government really imposed. And look, I'm someone who sees it in lawsuits all the time. You're right. No one ever really wants to take responsibility when they've done something wrong. But one of the benefits that I think the Trump administration has is nobody's going to accuse them of having been the ones to do something wrong. This all happened back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So he wasn't president then. He didn't poison the water. He didn't cover it up. He's not the one who buried the ATSDR report. So he has a golden opportunity, his administration, to take responsibility for someone else's F up and say, I'm going to take care of the veterans who were harmed by that, even though previous administrations looked the other way. Trump didn't do this, but he can fix it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And then to Michael, who's with you here, who's actually going through this, you were talking about PCE earlier, and if that is inside your body here, it is 42 to 45 times the EPA's limit. And then TCE, which you were talking about earlier, is roughly 280 times the limit. I don't know if you can live through that, in a manner in which you couldn't take that much medication just simply to stay alive. That is wild to me, the numbers that I'm reading here. And that exposure also leads to kidney cancer, liver cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and a bunch of other various illnesses there. Mr. Keller, what's the shortest that one of your clients lived?
Gosh, we've signed up clients who unfortunately passed away within a month of signing up with us. It's tragic. And then we worked with their next of kin to substitute in an estate so that, they can eventually get something. So the law of large numbers, unfortunately, dictates that when you have 500,000 people who essentially have claims against the government, you're going to see a lot of really sick ones who are advanced in their injuries, and they eventually succumb to them. It's just a sad reality with this population, which is why it's so urgent that they get relief more expeditiously.
And how many veterans are involved personally with this class action lawsuit?
So we represent north of 75,000 of them at my firm. There are other firms that represent a lot of veterans and are doing great work. I'd say that 400,000 number, almost all of them are represented. So there may be a few that just submitted their own claims and are going it alone, but the vast majority of them have representation.
Okay, and are these like things we see on like Fox News during commercial breaks where they say, hey, do you feel like you've been exposed to this? Are you experiencing these symptoms? Are you guys running ads like that to bring more awareness to this? Or how does that work on the back end? Because financially, you still got to cover those advertising costs as well.
Yeah, so there was a very significant advertising push after the Camp Lejeune Justice Act was passed, and we did participate in that and put ads exactly as you said on Fox News, among other networks. There's an interpretation of the bill that says if you didn't file your claim by now, it's no longer going to be considered. You're time barred. And so those advertisements have tapered off and they're basically non-existent anymore, which is part of the reason this has fallen out of the public consciousness. You're no longer seeing the advertisements for it.
Got it. Now, has the government settled with any of these people at all yet?
A couple hundred.
Okay.
So a truly tiny number.
Yeah, because I'm seeing payouts here, and look, the internet is what the internet is these days, but from anywhere from 10,000 to $1 million, depending upon the strength of your case. But then after that, they hope it goes away. No one's
gotten $1 million. Right. Don't believe everything you read on the internet.
I appreciate it. I don't. I try not to.
Have you looked into?
The government has set up.
Have you looked into any disability claims that have been filed for this particular kind of cancer? There's a lot of message boards that veterans use to talk about the narrative that they wrote in order to get service connection for disability for a particular thing related to something in their service. And I'm curious if you've looked into that, because that might be very helpful in establishing the cause of this cancer. For example, sorry to cut you off.
Believe it or not, the government's position is even if the VA has said there's a service connection, they're going to still dispute liability and say they don't owe you anything for the lawsuit.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure they're going to do that. But once you get in front of a judge, if you have, so the VA will use a board to look at all the related information and make that decision, and there will be a nexus. They call it a nexus between the event inside the military and the condition that the person's suffering from right now. And I think it probably would be super helpful. Once you do finally get in front of a judge, it'd be super helpful for your case to have that nexus articulated. Like the VA had a book, because the VA uses a board of doctors to look at the case, decide that, yes, these environmentals will cause this disease or whatever, and then they adjudicate the case like that. Unless the government's planning on hiring expert witness doctors to say that that's false, which would challenge their own VA, which seems very unlikely to me. I feel like that would be a pretty good situation for you guys.
Yeah, you're spot on. Some people already have that connection, and I agree it's in their file and helpful. And for others, you're definitely right that they should consider that option, and we can help them do that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm going to get you guys hooked up with some of the people I know as well to help on the other stuff. But this is, look, I mean, part of it is just the volume of people. You know what I mean? Like we all think, I'm not a fan of the government myself.
You don't say.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever picked that up before from any of the shows.
Not in 10 years.
Not a huge fan of the government, but almost always it's incompetence or a lack of personnel to get stuff done. And people just kind of, it's like flies or moths to a flame. They go to where the squeak is, you know what I mean? And they try to, even the good actors go to where the noise is and try to solve those problems first. That's just what it is, man. So, we've got to raise these concerns as often and as loudly as possible. And if you've got any kind of connection to this stuff, if any of you are out there and you're going through any of this stuff, I know a lot of not only are a lot of our fans veterans, but a lot of your parents, aunts, uncles, etc. were veterans back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s as well. You got to get on top of this shit, man. If your older veteran family member starts having symptoms of something or has had symptoms of something, just do the search. Just look on the internet and say, hey, was there something? Just ask where they were stationed, see if there are environmental reports from there. All this stuff exists in public.
Yeah.
You can find all this stuff. The places that I was deployed to, like Camp Taji, for example, I can go on the internet right now and find the tox report from the base that I was at. And fold that in any of my stuff. That stuff is available, but you gotta. It's on. Nobody's gonna do it for you. It's on you. You got to go look for all this stuff.
Yeah, and Mr. Keller, to your point about not believing things on the internet, the one thing it is good for is news, and in particular current news. And right now, it appears as if the largest people that are covering this are the Carolina Journal, which I own a place in North Carolina. I love North Carolina. I'm unfamiliar with the Carolina Journal. Roll Call is the other one. It says death is the only winner so far in the Camp Lejeune litigation. And then there is a gentleman at the Florida Times Union who is a Jacksonville Navy veteran. It says Camp Lejeune victims like me cannot wait any longer for justice. This new bill that is out there that everybody is pushing, what would you like to tell our audience or who to contact as far as congressmen that could push this further and move this further up the chain in a faster manner?
Yeah, so you pointed this out. This is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. So just call whoever your local congressman is. I don't care which team he or she plays for. I think they're going to be in favor of helping this community. The other thing that I think you can do, call the White House, call the Department of Justice. They don't need a new bill if they don't want one. They could just act on this immediately. They already have the authority from Congress to take care of people like Michael. So General Bondi, Brett Shumate, President Trump, Pete Hegseth, these are all people who I know care a lot about this community. They just need, as you say, the awareness. It needs to be the squeaky wheel.
Yes.
I know that they would want to do the right thing.
So you say that they already have the authority or there's legislation already. Be specific. Like if our listeners are going to call in to ask them about this, what do they say on the phone? Like what? Because you're going to be leaving a message. Nobody actually answers the phone there. But when you leave that message, like, hey, here's the case, here's a reference number or a title for the case or something, and then here's a capability that you have. Can you explain all that to the listeners?
Yeah, sure. If you're a regular constituent who cares about this issue, you could call any public official and say, use your settlement authority under the Camp Lejeune Justice Act to settle with these veterans. That's all you'd have to say. The Camp Lejeune Justice Act already authorizes the Department of Justice to settle these cases. That's why 500 people or so have received a settlement. The reason the other 399,900 haven't received a settlement is because there isn't the will to do it yet.
And I'm looking at the Camp Lejeune Justice Act. It says 2022. So are we saying this was in place 3 years ago?
Yep, sure was.
And still nothing is being done about it 3 years later.
That's correct.
Okay. So, yeah, I think, Dan, that's the best way to do it is to call these people. Mm-hmm. It is the Camp Lejeune Justice Act. And make sure they put. I mean, it's done. It's done.
Back in 2019, you guys called Lindsey Graham so much that they took his phone and email offline.
Correct.
Until it stopped. I recommend doing that here as well. Like if we have any power, it's in our ability to shout at once. Right. That's the only way that you, as an individual, really has power is to find like-minded people that share your values and scream at assholes until they fucking do the right thing.
Yes.
Right.
And let them know that's the Camp Lejeune Justice Act has already been approved. It's 3 years ago. That's it. Like, let's get this going here. This is a stamp, and we can move on, and these families can move on, have some peace, have some justice, and have a peace of mind that at least the government and the people that they were sent to go and fight for, that we're actually fighting for them to help get them at least some form of comfort or money or anything. Because, Michael, I'll go back to you here with your medications. Has a doctor told you personally, here's a guesstimate of how long you have to live with the current conditions that you have?
No, he hasn't given me that statement yet.
Have you asked? Or do you want to know?
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
I know. I'm the same way, and that's why I thought I'd ask. I'd be like, all right, cool. Whatever you're doing, and if it's working, I'm just going to keep living my days and working every day, which you're still working, which is incredible. Because a lot of people would have given up, and they would have said, you know what? I don't want to work a job. I don't want to do anything. I just want to live off the government and kind of just sit here. The fact that you're still working on a day-to-day basis is pretty impressive. What part of New Jersey are you in?
South Jersey.
Okay. Is there a business that we can help you out with that you're working for, and we can tell people, hey, go ahead and hire these guys and make sure they're working and they get plenty of work coming in?
No, I really don't want to say what company it is.
Fair enough. I understand. Especially in today's environments, you never know what's going to happen. But there was a plumbing business we helped out the other day, and they are overflowed with business now, pun intended there. But it has certainly helped them. And if we could help you in any way, more than happy to plug your company and your business. Has there been any threats against you personally, against government officials about what you're trying to do?
No.
Okay.
No. I haven't had any problems.
Good. Because that's something that Richard and some of those other guys were dealing with too, was a lot of times they just want these cases to go away. Mm-hmm. They just want these people to go away, and they want the story to go away. So that's a positive at least.
Well, I got some bad news for them. We are like herpes.
Yeah.
We don't go away.
No, we keep showing up.
Yep.
Keep showing up.
Yep.
It's been 10 years, and they can't cancel us or get rid of us. So that's positive. Mr. Keller, how many people are on your team personally working on this on a daily basis, which I imagine is for free, right now?
Well, I don't want to say that we're doing this for nothing. We are getting compensated, but only if we succeed for people like Michael. We probably have a team of 24 people working on this case between lawyers and non-lawyer professionals who are helping deal with paperwork, get estates created. As I said, the unfortunate situation where our clients are passing away and we need the next of kin to represent them. So it's a very full-time endeavor over the last 3 years, even though the government hasn't moved the needle very much.
What made you personally and your firm decide to get involved? Because as you said, I know you get paid afterwards, and I guess I can break that down for the audience. When a law firm takes on something pro bono, you do not get paid unless you win. And it is years and years and years and years and years. I know what these filings are on a daily basis, and a dozen people working on a staff, especially with what lawyers make, it ain't cheap. And if you're not getting paid immediately, it's hard to keep a law firm open. So how are you doing that? And what was the final decision that made you say, all right, I've had enough. I don't care what this takes, and I'm going to help these guys out. I don't give a shit how many years this goes on.
Yeah, so your point is exactly right. We're on contingency, and we've poured tens of millions of dollars already, just my firm, into this case. I'm not asking any of your listeners to cry me a river or anything. I did that of my own free will, and I'm a very blessed person, so we have the financial wherewithal to make that kind of investment. Why did we choose this case? It's the obvious reasons. I can't think of more worthy clients. I represent people in all sorts of different matters. I care about them. Obviously, I'm obligated as a fiduciary to do so. But this is a public interest type of litigation that couldn't be more worthy. It's a once every generation type of thing to take care of so many people who have been harmed in such an obvious way, where right is on their side, the angels are on their side, they're a population that we need to take care of. You were talking about this before. The VA's reputation, I think, has hurt recruitment for our armed forces. Not taking care of people like Michael is not going to be a good thing for recruitment for our armed forces. Our armed forces are obviously mission critical to protecting the freedoms we enjoy as Americans. So this was kind of a no-brainer for a firm like mine.
Yeah, and to your point, you want young men and women to join the service. You want to help them out, but if you keep hearing stories like this over and over and over again, your recruitment numbers are going to continue to fall if you do not take care of the men and women that are representing our country. So, Dan, for you, when you hear cases like this and all the other shit that you've gone through, how do you look a young 18-year-old in the eye and say, you know what, this is the right thing for you to do? Your country's going to take care of you, especially after hearing something like this.
Yeah, I mean, some people might say that you don't join for accolades, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a contract, and I don't mean the literal one you sign. There's a contract that when you go risk your life for your country, whether it's in a time of war or not, that if something goes wrong, they're going to take care of you on the back end, right? I mean, that's the unwritten rule of all civilizations that have ever existed. It's gotten a lot of people in leadership positions in trouble over the years, right? When Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon and took Rome by force, one of the reasons that there wasn't like a wild uprising afterwards was because he promised all this land to the veterans of his legions, right? This has been the case for all of human history so far as I can tell. And when, if a kid comes to me and says, I'm thinking about joining the military, what's going to happen if something goes wrong? I want to be able to tell them that we got your back, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not always true, unfortunately. It's not. And I think any chance the government has to perform their actual responsibility, it's like he's saying, it's definitely a win in the recruitment column. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, again, people don't join the military to get fucked up and then get disability. That's not the point. The point is to go serve your country. But that shit happens all the time. And the most immoral thing you can do to somebody who's served you is discard them. No matter what, whether you're a country or an individual. If somebody has performed services for you and you discard them once they need your help, then you're a piece of shit. And we're not pieces of shit here, right? So yeah, I expect the government to do the right thing here. Yeah. And if they don't, then we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, and I think the thing that disturbs me the most about this case is this isn't a lawsuit that happened to somebody's injuries from overseas or anything else. This is right here in our own country, on our bases where a lot of basic training and all that other stuff happens. And this is where you're learning to be a great soldier and taking care of the country, and then potentially going overseas or whoever needs you at that point in time. This is happening on our United States military bases. Am I wrong about that, Mr. Keller? There's no other place in the world, right? These lawsuits are here.
You have that. You got that exactly right. And you don't choose where you're going to train, right? You don't choose where you're stationed when you wear the uniform, and you're bringing your family onto that base, right? You're raising your kids there on that base. They're bathing in that water too. So this is a really serious situation, and I think we need to do right by these people.
Yeah, I do too. And then, Michael, are you hopeful?
Yes. You have to stay hopeful. You can't give up.
And that's the spirit of our U.S. military. And hearing your story today, we appreciate you taking time out. I know this is difficult, what you and your family are going through, and it's not always the easiest. And then obviously for men and women like you who are brave, sometimes sharing vulnerable stories and things like this can be difficult. But I think it is necessary, and I think it is necessary to get the message out. Now is the point in the show we get to this thing called the Drinkin' Bro of the Week, which is someone who has inspired you or helped you become the person you are today. Michael, who would you like to give the Drinkin' Bro of the Week to today?
My wife.
How long you guys been married?
13 years.
13 years. Cheers. I will be on 13 years myself here next month. So,
and you guys are basically the same age too.
That's not true.
Yeah,
that's not true. I am 34 years old. I'm a young man.
No.
Yep. The mustache it makes me look older, and I can control it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But thank you for coming on today. We greatly appreciate it, Mr. Keller. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come on here and join us. I know it's strange. You see and hear Drinkin' Bros, and you're like, dude, what could this possibly do for us? But 80% of our audience is military and first responders, and the phrase "Drinkin' Bros" isn't about getting fucked up or getting wasted or anything else. It's in case people are out there and they're struggling and they need somebody to meet up with, potentially have a drink, whether that be a HardAF Seltzer or a water, for Christ's sakes, and at least talk through problems and help each other out. And we are more than grateful to have you on the show and help you guys out with your issues and lawsuits that you're going through. Mr. Keller, please tell everybody one more time when they call their local congressmen or senators what's to ask for specifically when they leave these messages, because to Dan's point, they will not pick up the phone. We know that over the course of the last 10 years.
Tell the Department of Justice to resolve the Camp Lejeune litigation, period.
Okay, and it is the Camp Lejeune Contamination Act?
No, Camp Lejeune Justice Act. It's already been passed in 2022. They have the authority to adjudicate this right now.
Okay, great. So that's because we need something short and sweet here to tell them. So that's the one we need them to hammer through, Mr. Keller?
You got it.
Okay, great. So if you're out there and you could just make a phone call throughout the day, just get a free moment and leave a message. I promise you, enough messages will make a difference. As Dan stated earlier, it caused Lindsey Graham, Lady G, to change his phone number and email after another case that was on this show. So it is possible if we all band together here and make these phone calls and make this right for our men and women who have served this country. We appreciate you guys being on the show, and best of luck, sirs.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. And then, Bob, we'll put the name of this act in the audio and video description, and you can call your local congressmen and senators, and hopefully this show will be big enough that we can get this resolved quickly. Appreciate you tuning in today. For D'Anthony Hollaway, I'm Ross Patterson. This is the Drinkin' Bros podcast. Good night, everyone.